Hey, yeah, the life. I said it's the life. Yeah. Hey, yo, I see y'all out there living y'all life, man. Live it up. I went from sleeping on the bunk inside a cage to home ownership. While people was afraid of that life, I was condoning it. It helped that I was raised with a mice known to roam. If you got it out the mud, I slept there. I was homeless, living was only torture, and I could have done without it. But God rerouted, and now my mama the proudest. When performing at events, she be screaming the loudest. We done came a long way from duct tape on the couches. Missed most of my youth, so now I'm drinking from the fountain. You hold a scary future when drugs is the form of counseling. Okay.
What's up, good people? It's your boy, Bro Troy. We're back for another episode of the Bro Code. Oh, hold on. I know. Real quick, always, we're having candid, courageous conversations. As you can see, we are in another setting. That's what makes us different. Today, we have Wake County Manager, David Ellis. David, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you. We're in your office, so
Yeah.
thank you. We
Yes.
appreciate it. Like, we up at the penthouse over here at the Justice Center.
Yes, sir.
Over here got the balcony. Y'all will see that later, man. But we're excited about having the conversation. We're big on courageous conversation. Now, I'm the laughter of the three. You know, I like to keep it light. So we do this thing called rapid fire questions. You know, first thing comes to mind, okay? We want to get the people that are listening, that are watching, get to know a little bit more as we ease into this conversation. So, all right, you ready?
Ready?
All right, what has been your favorite age so far?
40.
What is your go-to lazy dinner?
Pizza.
What is your favorite thing to do in the summertime?
Relax.
What is one of your nicknames?
Thunder.
We're going to talk about
Yeah,
that
we're going to get that.
later. What was your major in college?
Psychology and social work.
What is the silliest dare you have ever agreed to do?
Knocked down a mailbox when I was a teenager.
We'll talk about that later, too.
Yeah.
What item is worth spending more money on?
Television.
What movie do you enjoy quoting the most and why?
Risky business.
And why is
Yeah.
that?
Just the attitude. Sometimes you have to say, what the heck?
Gotta go for it, right?
Right.
Gotta go for it. What dish do you cook the best?
Ribs.
I like it. Finish this phrase. The way to my heart is.
Honesty.
What is one thing you wish you enjoyed more?
Free time.
And last but not least, what never fails to make you laugh?
My dogs.
Love it. That's rapid fire questions with David Ellis.
That's good.
I'm curious, as we ease into this conversation, David, they say that you respect the future by understanding your past. Right? We all come from somewhere. Where's home for you?
Home is a small town in Virginia called Fredericksburg. We call it Fred Vegas.
Fred Vegas. Okay, why are you calling it Fred Vegas?
Because it's really boring, but we like to kind of talk about it. It's an exciting place to be when in reality it's really not.
Yeah.
It wasn't back when I grew up.
No, mental was tricking yourself, right?
Yeah,
That's your favorite band. I love it. I love it.
We do that same thing in Kernersville,
What do you call it?
K Vegas, for the same reason.
Mentally trick yourself?
Yeah, it's a small town, not a lot happening, so you have to make it happen.
I love it.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that in childhood you came from the foster care system. Is that correct?
That is correct. I was put up for adoption at birth. I was adopted. My adoptive parents saw me in the Washington Post newspaper when I was a baby, and decided that they wanted to adopt me.
You are a grown man. Do you have children now, sir?
No children.
No children. But I'm wondering now, how did that situation then affect you now, if at all?
I think it had a tremendous effect on me because I was blessed and lucky to go to a loving home. But I also recognize that there are a number of kids that unfortunately age out of foster care or don't have that experience. And so one of the things that I want to make sure in my time as a human services worker and as a county manager is that we are doing our best to make sure these children have positive, healthy relationships in childhoods.
Yeah, relationships are important.
Absolutely.
We always say blessings come from people, favor comes from God.
Yeah.
Right? So, with the work that we do with Y4C, Young Men for Christ, we focus on that underserved population. And with the relationships that we built with on multiple levels within Raleigh and RDU and Durham area, we have many of those individuals we talked about earlier that have a love for children. So the work that we do is very passionate. So I ask you that question because it's personal.
It is, and I think I want people who are passionate about taking care of these kids, right? I want people who are passionate about, in local government, making a difference, right? In our child welfare department, it's making a difference in the lives of the families. In our inspections department, we're making a difference there. But you got to be passionate about it, right? If you're just kind of going through the motions, it shows. And especially when you're dealing with people in relationships, they want to feel that you're important, right? And so, when I meet with people, I try to make sure they know that the time I spend with them is important to myself, and I want them to feel that when they leave the building.
Being present. Right? Yeah, I love it. My last question. It would be easy for you to have a diluted sense of what family means based on how you grew up originally. So I have to ask, now that you went through those experiences and you do hear the word family, what does that mean to you?
So for me, family is very broad, right? So it's your traditional family, but I have friends who I've known all my life who I consider family, right? We share no blood, but we are there for one another. I mean, I was just talking to one of my best friend's daughter last week, and I looked at her and I said, I've known your dad for 50 years. We met in kindergarten, and we still stay in contact with each other. And so I consider him part of my family. His family is part of my family. I don't have what I would consider a large group of folks like that, but the quality of those folks who I consider as my family are just top notch.
And last but not least, I got one more I gotta ask, because foster care is a big deal. We know that. I would love for you to speak hope into a child now that is in that system. Someone that has went through it, and good, bad, ugly, right, wrong, and different. Like, what would you say to encourage a kid that is in that system now?
I would tell them that they have limitless possibilities, right? They are smart, they are loved, and not to allow their circumstances to crush their spirit or hope. We all face adversity as we're growing up. It's different for different people, but you can be what you want to be. And one of the reasons I wanted to be a manager is because I wanted to be able to influence policy, provide leadership, but also have children who look like me see this is a possible career choice, right? My parents exposed me to a number of folks in Fredericksburg. Lawrence Davies, who was the first black mayor in Fredericksburg, I met him. I would see him on a regular basis, and so those were possibilities that my parents exposed me to, and my friends' parents exposed me to, that made me believe I could do anything I wanted to.
I love hope plus options for success.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm going to get back to that one because I think that's important. But before I do, it seems as if you still have a lot of your childhood flair. As I'm in this office, I can't help but look at flamingos in the window and all sorts of Black Panther and other Marvel action figures. I take it you're big into superheroes.
Yes.
What would be your power if you could be a superhero? Like,
my power would be to help those children who don't feel loved, helping them to realize that they are loved.
how's that going to be Galactus or? How's that going to beat any other supervillain?
So I'll tell you, one of the reasons I keep the superheroes up there is when you're a child,
Mhm.
anything is possible, right?
Mhm.
And as you get older, sometimes you start to think that you can't do things, right? And so when I start to think that something's too hard or I can't overcome it, I look at that and I kind of remind myself as a child, anything is possible. Now I was supposed to be playing for the football team out of Washington and just probably retired by now. That didn't come through. So, but it's just a matter of thinking, hey, anything is possible, and don't allow self-doubt to creep in, and cause you to fail.
Okay. Well, that was a good little segue to my question I was going to ask. I'm glad that you are presenting that sort of image, not just for children, but grown adults for what you could possibly be. As I understand it, you're the first Black county manager in Wake County. Walk me through that journey in terms of the doors you had to kick open, the people that helped you along the way, and how you've been able to thrive in this environment since 2018 is when you first assumed this role from other roles within the district. But walk me through that path.
So first I'll say, I'm the first, but I'm also the first who was given the opportunity. There were people before me who could have been county manager. I think Joe Durham
Mhm.
would have been a great county manager, and there were others that just didn't have the opportunity. I was here and had the opportunity. I started my career in local government in Fairfax back in 1990.
Mhm.
Worked there, had some tremendous mentors, Bertie Haywood, Anthony Griffin, Rod Stolz, and just a large number of mentors. After about 15 years, and I started out as a social worker, but after about 15 years or so, I recognized that as a providing direct service, you can only help so many people at a time. And that in many cases, policies come down that, and the policies may not have a broad scope of folks helping to develop them, right? And so I made a decision that I wanted to get to the point where I could help influence policies that were coming down. And so after about 20 years in Fairfax, I started looking,
Mhm.
and finally secured a position with the city of Charlottesville, Virginia as an assistant city manager. So packed up, left Northern Virginia, which had been my life for 20 plus years, moved to Charlottesville, um, worked there for 3 years, and then the opportunity to come to Wake County as a deputy um, appeared. And, it was, Fairfax was a large organization, 12, 13,000 employees. Charlottesville was 1,000, but I wanted to challenge myself, right? I was successful there, but can I be successful working in a city um, on a smaller scale, right? And so I felt like I was successful in what I did there, and then, as I said, the opportunity came here, and this is when I got here is when I really started thinking about it. I can be a manager. I can do this. And so when Jim Hartman, who hired me when he decided to retire, talked to the board that they selected me as interim, and I was interim for 4 months.
Mhm.
Went through the interview process, and it was not an easy interview process. I mean, it was tough, and there's a significant difference. Jim Hartman told me this. He said, "There's a difference in being a deputy and being the manager. The buck stops with you." He said, "I can't explain it to you. You're just going to have to live it." And ended up going through the interview process, and the board selected me in 2018, and I've been here ever since. And it's just been one challenge after another after another. But what I enjoy is you can see where you're making a difference, right? So during COVID, you can see we made a difference. With our housing affordability, we're making a difference. Human services, we're trying to make positive differences in the life of our residents and businesses.
Before we started shooting, you were telling us a little bit about your staff. The diverse nature, the extraordinary talent. I look around and I see all the different plaques from different business schools and leadership. How are you leading such a team of individuals, not just through COVID, but in one of the largest counties in the U.S., not to mention just in North Carolina?
Yes, I always like to, we are now now the most populous county in North Carolina, and we're still growing
Mhm.
quite a bit. You know, this job is about leadership and management, right? And so, my job with my team is to provide the leadership, and I call our team the Avengers, right? Because they
Mhm.
are top notch. And what I tell people is I want to hire the best, right? I want to find the best, hire the best, and then my job is to get out of their way, right?
Mhm.
They know what they're doing. And, I want to be there to support them, make sure they have the resources. They're giving me their recommendations that I will carry forward. But I can't micromanage. This organization is too big to micromanage. And if you're hiring people and they're good, you don't need to micromanage. And so I have what I would call a collaborative leadership style. They are welcome to push back on me, and they do. And we'll have some healthy discussions about various policy directions or things we're looking to implement. Because I'm upfront and honest with them. I said, if you ever see me getting ready to walk off the ledge, I want you to stop and tell me. I don't want you to let me go off that ledge and then say, well, you shouldn't have done that. I was thinking that. So, and they're very good about that. But they are top notch, and they are the best team I've worked with.
Okay, love it. We're gonna come right back. We gotta pay some bills.
I got you.
We've got Wake County Manager David Ellis on the Bro Code Show. We'll be right back.
Oh, you made it. Hi. Come on in. Well, welcome to Petals and Stem Spa. I'm Cynthia Bailey. So Petals and Stem Spa is a place where everyone can come and release things. I often say, come in here, release all your demons, and I'll phase them out when you leave. I want you to come in here and feel lighter when you leave. A few services that we offer are, of course, the Yoni Steam, which is great for anyone that has a vagina. We offer the Lingam Steam, which is great for anyone that has a prostate. We also offer crystal detox services, foot detox services, reflexology, and music and vibration therapy.
So we're back here on the Broco Show. David, enjoying the conversation. Earlier you were sharing about becoming county manager. I read somewhere that there was 25 candidates and you were selected. What was it that you heard that stood apart for you? Was there some quality? Was there something you did that made you earn that position?
So I believe it was a combination of things. One, coming from Fairfax County, which when you look at the growth pattern of Wake County, it's comparable to that. Fairfax is probably about 15 or 20 years in front of us. And so I had experience, well, not at the managerial position, experience working in a large, urban, diverse county. And so I believe that helped. And I think it also helped that I'd been here and built relationships with folks in the community, as well as folks here who work here. We had it wasn't coming out. We had an event where folks from the community came out, and it was just a tremendous amount of support, especially in the African American community. And talking to some of those folks, when they tell you they never thought they'd see an African American county manager, it just solidified. It's an important role, but it just solidified the importance of that role, and the fact that I had to really come in here and do an extremely good job. There were a lot of folks who I didn't want to disappoint those folks who had been waiting so many years.
Yeah. I want to circle back to your childhood a little bit. Talk about your father. And I saw a quote somewhere where it said he was really big on telling you what you could do and what you could be. But he also mentioned that you weren't to allow racism to become a crutch for you. Speak to that for us.
Yeah, so my dad and his father were both ministers back in Spotsylvania County in Virginia. And, this conversation evolved a few years ago. Myself and my good friend who I mentioned earlier, I've known for 50 years, and another African-American family. We were sitting around talking one day just about how we've been able to kind of navigate the world. And we started talking about how and they now have children, and we're talking about how difficult it is to prepare your son or daughter to face racism, but not to use it as a crutch,
Yeah.
right? And you know, we all said we're not quite sure what they did, but it worked. I mean, so when racism hit me in the face, I knew what to do. I knew how to handle it, right? But I also knew that just because someone may be of a different race or ethnicity, I wasn't going to say they're automatically better than me. I believe that, like, whatever I do, and this is one of the lessons I learned from my dad, was you be the best at whatever you do. So I am driven to be the best. My dad would say, yeah, if you're going to be a bum, be the best one, right? But that was my thing, and it's still, I can't settle for mediocrity. I want to be the best, and the best is defined by me. So I'm never satisfied with what I've done.
One of the biggest things that we believe in as a team is moving in a spirit of excellence. So it kind of aligns what you're talking about. I'm glad you brought up your background as in ministers. I remember your speech, acceptance speech, when you came to a podium. You said, "Thank you, God. Thank you, my parents." And then you also said, "Thank you, mentors." You were just speaking to relationships. How important is it? You mentioned earlier having mentors, and that's what we do every day. How important is it to have proper mentors as a guide for children, for instance?
I think mentors are extremely important because what's that saying? You can't see, you have to see what you can do, right?
Yeah.
And so just because your parents may not have attended college doesn't mean that you can't attend college. Just because your parents may not have sat behind a desk doesn't mean you can't sit behind a desk. And so helping children to explore and understand all the possibilities that are out there, I think is extremely important. And it just adds to the opportunities, right? If one of my mentors, my dad's good friend, he was a mechanic, right? And it's just amazing what I learned from him over time. And so, a lot of times we can get caught up in that mentors have to be college educated, which that's good, but anybody can be a mentor. Anyone can provide guidance and livelihood and helping children understand you can be whatever you want to be, right? It gets back to, when you're a child, you think you can be anything, right? And then over time, pressure, society starts to make you think that you can't do this stuff. But if you see people doing it, then that's a rebuttal of what you may be doing.
Yeah.
What you see, I gotta ask her because JC alluded to, Bro Smith alluded to Black Panther, but I saw the rubber ducky, and the first thing that came to my mind was Sesame Street.
Right.
Is that right?
No.
Okay.
The rubber ducky was given to me by a colleague in Fairfax when I left. She was like, I forgot it was you're going away, and the only thing I had was this rubber ducky, and so I carry it with me wherever I go.
I love it. You seem pretty nostalgic, so I gotta ask: is there anything other that you collect? Like, so I understand the concept of the toys. I love the analogy of staying that youthfulness, really, like understanding that because kids don't have fear until it's taught or learned, right? I remember my daughter, her float went out into the pool. She was 2, not even 2. She jumped. She couldn't swim a lick, but she wanted that toy.
Right.
And she didn't understand the fear part of it. She just took that leap of faith. And we talk about all the time, there's so many people in the world that want to do great things, but they allow themselves to be their own barrier. Self-sabotage.
Yes.
So was there a space in life where that became important to you? Was there, as you think about your journey of life through elementary school, middle school, into college, and now coming into a sector where you're another first? We're talking about first in 2023 still. Was there a space where you had to overcome self-sabotage or potentially feeling like I don't deserve to be here?
Yes, I actually, I was working in the manager's office in Fairfax, and I actually had a coach. And that coach was working with me, and one of the things that she told me was, you need to believe in yourself. You don't believe in yourself. Everyone else believes in you, but you don't. And she said, you're sabotaging yourself. And so at that point, I started to think about what she said and realized that I needed to make some changes mentally and stop doubting myself. That when I left Fairfax, there were a number of people who told me you were crazy, right? At that point, if I had stayed another 8 years, I could have retired, right? They're like, you're good here, you could be a department head and stay, but my goal was to be a manager, right? And that wasn't the route that was going to take me to be a manager. And so I stepped out on faith and went to Charlottesville and, ended up here as a manager. And so you just have to believe, and sometimes you got to take risks, right? Like you said, your daughter at 2, when I decided to take this job, I think I probably thought about it for about 10 seconds. It's like I accepted that, and not think about all the other things, right? Like, how do I really want to move to North Carolina? I got to do this and that. No, it's a great opportunity.
No, I know this is a position of very big influence. You could get in any room in this building, even on a Sunday.
Why is that a big deal? But it is, right? It's a big deal.
And so I'm wondering, how far does that stretch? Like, can you get backstage passes at the Progress Industry Center or
Dreamville?
Dreamville?
Can you just pop up at Dreamville? Can you just pop up at Dreamville?
Yeah, no. Where does your power stop?
So I don't necessarily think of it as power. Right? I think of it as influence. I think of it as being collaborative. Power, I think sometimes, I never get the saying right, but when you start to feel like you have power, and I don't think people are ever satisfied, right? So you want more and more power, and then it collapses, right? So I don't necessarily see myself as being a very powerful person. One of the things I believe in is when I first took the job, there were a number of people who would call me Mr. Manager, and I started correcting it. Right? Like, please call me David. My name is David Ellis. No middleman, right? Because I needed to be able to separate who I am from what I do. Because at some point, I'm not going to be doing this, right? And if my whole life, my whole system is wrapped up in being the manager, when I lose that, I'm going to have a hard time functioning.
Who am I?
So how does David Ellis relax? I learned about your Lifetime channel affection, but aside from that, or maybe even going deeper into that, how do you unwind with all of this responsibility and the job itself?
So so let me tell you the Lifetime. So it actually ties back to what we talked about earlier. As you know, the professional football team in Washington has been pathetic for like the past 25 years.
Can you say that another time, please?
Pathetic.
Yeah. There we go.
And so at one point, I was sitting there and they were losing to someone, and I flipped over and started watching the Lifetime channel. And the movie was so crazy that but it kept me there, right? I would just sit there and watch it, and I'm like, hold on, so this person allowed someone to move into their house that they just met like 2 days ago and look after their children. And so that's kind of how I got into Lifetime. And then I got hooked. I'd watch it on the weekends. You could escape, right? Because you could watch it. You're like, oh, these people are crazy. But for me, relaxing, I try to do 30 minutes of cardio in the morning, 30 minutes of cardio at night. I try to put my phone down around 8 o'clock. If it's an emergency, I tell people, call me, don't text me, right? Because I need some time to decompress. I collect bourbon. And on Fridays, I will go home and just kind of relax, right? And kind of decompress. I think it's important to take time off, right? I didn't do that when I first took the job, and as I told you earlier, I ended up in the hospital, right? Because I wasn't eating right, I wasn't exercising, I was working long hours, and then I realized that if I continued down that road, I wouldn't be doing this job for long. And so 5:30, 6 o'clock every morning. I'm up on my bike, and then that afternoon when I get home, I try to get on the treadmill.
That's great.
For that. All of us have stories when it comes to wellness, and we're very big on wellness here on the Bro Code Show. We want to talk a little bit more about that, but we got to pay the bill. So we'll be right back on the Bro Code Show with Jay Ellis.
No one's ready to deal with us. What?
We're back on the Bro Code Show with Wake County Manager David Ellis. David, we were talking about mental wellness. We're big on that here on the Bro Code Show. Look, Bro Kurt has our new tour coming up. Tell them about the tour, man. What's it called?
Wellness is the new cool. And the reason it's called new cool is because there's so many people that want to be cool. But we just believe wellness, like taking care of yourself, individually, family, and community, is like one of the coolest things you can do. So we're really going to push that narrative. So I'm really excited about it. So stay tuned.
I think we had an additional question, man. We were before the break talking a little bit more, and there was words that came up such as pressure, taking time off, not loving yourself first, and understanding that that's not selfish, man.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
We were talking about Wake County, and I think it's live, work, play, and you guys are really doing a lot of work in making sure that people are well. Talk to us about that, the wellness, and for you personally, based on the pressure you talked about earlier, but also countywide for the employees.
So our board recently passed a wellness leave policy, which provides 2 hours of wellness leave for our employees, which is just, we're one of the few counties in the state. I believe Mecklenburg also has it, but one of the few counties in the state that actually offer wellness leave. And it's a recognition that people are under a lot of stress from work, from family, from COVID, and that people should feel that it's okay if they need to take a day off and relax their mind. You see and hear about issues, workplace violence and issues like that. And I believe in some of those instances, people they've been stressed, right? And no one's heard them, no one's kind of heard them. And so what we want to do is make sure that our employees, take the time for themselves, for their families, because then they come back and they're recharged, right? And they're ready to get back and to take care of their jobs and do what's necessary. We're in the middle of budget right now, and so it's a stressful time because we're trying to put together the budget. I'm probably in meetings 6.5 out of 8 hours a day, and it's demanding mentally as well as physically. And so I learned a long time ago that once we get the budget, once the board adopts the budget, our budget office and a lot of the folks on my team, we take some time off, right, to kind of recharge and get ready for the second half of the year. And that's okay, right? I tell people it's fine. I think I mentioned to you, one day I was here last year, and I was just like, I need a mental health day, right? I wasn't myself. I was a little short with people, and I was like, I need to get out of here. And so, it's being in concert with your body and recognizing when you're off mentally, physically, or spiritually, and taking the time to get yourself back.
Wow. Hearing that from a leader, because a lot of times you hide behind a title. Because I was reading an article last week about a leader who was afraid to be vulnerable because he was feared that people would think he was weak. And it's actually the reverse. He said that once he started being more vulnerable with his team, that they became more vulnerable and the results went out the roof. And so I don't know how you look at that, but you're an avid reader. So I guess do you read on that kind of topic?
I do, and one of the things I think is important, and I had to learn this, right? So I have to bring my authentic self to work, right? I can't be, someone who mentored me. I can't be the previous county manager or someone else. I've got to be David Ellis. And, David Ellis can be funny. David Ellis will play practical jokes on employees. But that's who I am, right? I hate wearing ties, right? So most days I will not wear a tie, right? So I have to be my authentic self. And when I started to become my authentic self, I think this is when our team started to gel, right? Because I'm not hiding behind a who I'm not really, who I'm really not.
I like wearing hoodies.
Yeah, it is hoodie season. So.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Do we have another segment? No, that was it.
That's
No,
it.
hold on. We do got another segment. We might as well do. No, we're gonna do that one later. Yeah. So we'll be right back on the Bro Code.
Commitment by having our two first responder groups presented together as one unit here today.
Now comes one of Raleigh's newest leaders, Raleigh Police Chief Stella Patterson, riding with us here today. In addition to 25 years in law enforcement, she served as a member of the U.S. Army Reserve. Chief Patterson committed to building trust within the community and making Raleigh one of the safest cities in America.
Walking with Raleigh Police Chief Patterson today, two groups of youth, YM4C, Young Men for Christ, a program created to plant seeds of hope, love, respect, creativity, and self-worth. The second group consists of members of the RPD Safety Patrol program. These fifth grade student leaders from various Raleigh schools.
And they're bundled up. They're looking good this morning. Now, Chief Patterson, who is committed to working with youth groups and teaching young men and women to be responsible and respectful residents, has her sights.
Welcome back. Welcome to the Kappa Takeover. My name is David Ellis, and we're going to flip the script today. I've taken over this show, and as all noops do, we're going to do it the way we do. So first, let me bring up someone to answer some questions. Brother Troy, you want to come on up?
Oh yeah, here we come. Come on down, baby. What you got, sir? You got your own show now?
I got my own show.
Okay, well I'm here, baby.
I'm
What we
taking
got?
over. Dak Prescott, Super Bowl contender or not?
Ooh, I don't like the Cowboys, so no.
Hold on. Who's the Cowboys?
Yeah. I don't like the Cowboys. We got Bro Kirk that came and took over too.
So yes.
Yes. He's going to take y'all to Super Bowl this year. Next year.
No. I'm a Cowboy fan.
Okay.
But I'm not a Dak fan.
All right. What motivates you?
My children, past trauma, and knowing my why.
Sounds good. Knowing your why. You're up, my man.
Am I out of here? Am I done?
You're done.
All right, cool. All right, I made it.
Dak Prescott will never take.
The man is dressed in New York Giant blue. They recently, while they did make it to the playoffs, they were embarrassed recently. Daniel Jones, yes or no, taking you to the Super Bowl?
Yes. As a Giants fan, we have the pleasure of going to the Super Bowl every decade since the 80s. And so we are due. And Daniel Jones has all the gifts and talents to lead us, not this next year, but within these next 5 years, Super Bowl.
So I understand you went to NC State University. What are you known for at NC State University?
Ooh, that's a good question. I talked a lot of trash on the basketball court, so people will probably remember me most as the person who ignited a number of conflicts on the basketball court. I would think that or I used to speak French and lead a number of different councils in regards to the French club, but more than likely it's for my trash talk.
Very impressive. One last question before you get out of here. What's worse, UNC not going to the NCAA or NC State losing?
NC State losing. I thought it was the best thing ever that UNC never didn't make it. So.
All right, appreciate your time.
Thank you. Good questions.
Brother K.
Yeah. He hesitated, by the way. On the Giants question,
Right.
did you not feel that 5-second hesitation?
He was thinking about
that level of confidence. I'm saying no.
Right.
He didn't believe it.
He didn't believe it.
No. I'm a body language forensics guy. No. So
So,
sorry.
I got to start with sports related. How'd y'all lose to the Commanders this year?
You know how you play that team that you know is not that good, and you just mentally take it off?
Right.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good response. That's a good response. So, what motivates you?
Ooh, motivates me. So, raised by my grandmother, with my grandmother and my mother, but my grandmother passed away last year, and she had an 8th grade education. I don't want to let her down. So in my mind, there's this game I play every day that she's with me, and everything that I'm doing for myself, my family, and the community, she's with me. I'm standing on her shoulders, and I really want to do right by her because she sacrificed so much.
That's impressive. Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Great question. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, my time here is done. I want to thank the Bro Code for allowing me to guest host for a minute. I'm going to now turn the mic over to Troy.
Did wonderful, man. Love it, love it. What's up, good people? We are just coming back from the, did I get it right? Is the Kappa Takeover?
Yes, sir.
Kappa Takeover. You know, David Ellis just took the mic from us, man, and over here interviewing the bros. Have you had a good time, sir?
I've had an awesome time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just curious, man. You are the Wake County manager. Like, you run everything. I heard earlier when we started this conversation, this guy has a badge that can get into any building. Like, he's got the golden key. But I'm curious, man, the Bro Code experience, is there other people in your network that would appreciate this experience?
Yes.
You know? And if so, we have a segment called Calling Them Out. And I need you to look into any one of those cameras. Maybe this one right here.
All
Check
right.
this camera right here. I want you to call those people out. Here you go. You get the mic one more
Get
time.
the mic one more time. Chair, Shanika Thomas. City Manager, Marshall Adams David. Town Manager of Apex, Katie Crosby. Town Manager of Garner, Rodney Dickerson. Those are folks who should be on the show.
I love it. You heard it right here, right? You need to be on the Bro Code show. We need you right here. So this quote says, make today so awesome that yesterday gets jealous. It's your boy, Bro Troy.
Bro Kirk, Bro Smith.
And we are the Bro Code.
Hey, yeah. The life. I said it's the life. Yeah. Hey, yo, I see y'all out there living y'all life, man. Live it up. I went from sleeping on the bunk inside a cage to home ownership. While people was afraid of that life, I was condoning it. It helped that I was raised with a mice known to roam. If you got it out the mud, I slept there. I was homeless, living was only torture, and I could have done without it. But God rerouted, and now my mama the proudest when performing at a